Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tommy, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a responsive navbar in a React project. So this is what we're going to be making today. I'll just bring this across. So just have a navbar on the top with two pages, home and about. And when you go to mobile view, then we get the navbar responsive. Okay, so we'll get started on this project then. Okay, so to get started on this project you'll need, for a React app, I'll go quickly through this because you probably have the basics of React already if you're looking to make a responsive navbar. So you need Node.js installed on your machine to get going. Okay, so it's quite easily to do. Select the download for your machine and go through all the steps. That's easy enough. Okay, so all I have done at the start is I have Visual Studio open. That's the editor I'm using, and I just have a folder on my desktop called responsive nav. So to create a React app, once you have Node installed and you're ready to go, you just do npx create /react app, and you can put in the name of the app you want to do, and it will create a new folder in your folder. But I want to create this and put it in this folder I have already. So by doing that, you just do a space, do a full stop, press enter. So this take a couple of minutes to set up, so we'll just let this roll for a minute. I'll pause the video here and we'll come back when it's installed. Okay, so when all that's finished you'll get this message down here, so you know it's all complete. We have all our folders and everything set up here in the top left hand corner. So once we have that done, you want to just go into the directory that's after creating. So you want to cd into the folder you have. I didn't have to do that because I created it in the folder that I was setting it up in. Okay, so we need to install one dependency for this to work. We need to install the React router DOM, and that's going to be able to let us to work with NavLinks. We'll install that package first, so we just do npm I react /router /DOM. Okay, so once that's installed, then you'll see it in the package.json file. We go into our package.json file, you'll see the new dependency there, React router DOM. Okay, so we'll get started with our, I'll just close that terminal for the minute, or I'll make that smaller. Okay. So we'll go into our app.js, so we'll just do npm start to get our app up and running. This will create a server on localhost 3000, and we can see working. I have something running on 3000 already, so I just run it on a different one. Okay, so that should automatically open up in your browser then. If it doesn't, just type in the wherever it is after creating the server for you, you'll see it on that line there. So at this stage then we should have our basic boilerplate React app. Okay, so close that for a minute. So we'll just get started then. Okay, So to get started then, I'm just going to clean up a few things in here. The app.test, we don't need that anymore. Index.css, I'm going to remove that. App dash, yeah, we don't need the logo, going to get rid of that. Okay, so you'll see a few things down here then, a few errors, but we're going to fix them now because React is looking for this logo and I can't find it. So we're going to app.css, we get rid of this logo, delete that, and we get rid of everything inside this main div. I just put a H1 in here for the minute. Okay. Index.css, remove that. So get rid of index.css in here. Okay, we go back to our React app and refresh. So now we just see we have Navbar. Okay. So in our app.css, I'm going to get rid of all this CSS. We're going to create our own. So I'm just going to start off with using the star sign, and I'm just going to set the margin and the padding to 0 and the border box. So I'm just going to say margin going to be 0. Padding I'm going to set it to 0 also. I'm going to set the box sizing to border box. Okay, so we'll go into our app.css. We just get rid of the for a second. Now, save that. So the first thing I'm going to do is in our source folder, I'm going to set up a new folder in here. And we're just going to call it components. Okay. And in our source folder again, I'm just going to set up another folder called pages. Okay. So for our pages then, we're going to have a home page. So we'll call this home.js. And we're going to have a second page called about.js. About.js. Okay. And in our components then, this is where we're going to set up our nav bar. So I'm just going to call this navbar.js. I'm going to create another file in here for the navbar CSS. Navbar.css. Okay, so in our navbar then, I'm using this extension ES7 React Redux snippets. So I'll show you how this works then. You just type in a small bit of code and it creates a function for you, a boilerplate to get started. So by using this function, if I type in RFCE, press enter, we get the function navbar and it exports the default as navbar. It takes the navbar from the name of the file. So that's very handy and quick to use. Okay, so we're going to import our CSS file as well. Okay. And we're going to import NavLink from React Router DOM. So import, you need the curly braces here. I'm going to import NavLink. We're going to import that from React Router DOM. Okay, so we're going to be using the useState hook in here to hold a piece of state to let us know if we need a nav bar to be hidden or unhidden when we need a responsive for mobile, or if we wanted full navbar for the desktop application. So we're going to use our useState hook, and we're just going to set some state in here. So the state we're going to be using, I'm going to call it be button state, and we're going to say set button state, and the initial value we're going to set it to true. Okay, so we'll just get set up with our navbar first. We'll get that complete. So we're going to have a class name, and that's going to be equal to navbar. And inside our main div, then we're going to have another div, and we're going to give that a class name. We're going to call that navbar underscore underscore logo. We're going to be using BEM convention for this, so navbar underscore underscore. Okay. Now, so inside our navbar, then on the right hand side, we're going to have all our buttons. So we're going to create an element for them. So div, we're going to give this a class name. This is going to be equal to, I'm going to use some JavaScript in here. So I'm going to say if the button state is true, I'm going to use a ternary operator here. So if the button state is true, we want to return navbar, class name of navbar, hide. So it's going to be hidden. Otherwise, we want to return navbar buttons. Okay. So then inside this element, we're going to create the links for our pages. So I'm going to use a UL, and the first one going to be an LI now, and we're going to use the NavLinks one. The NavLinks are different to links, because with the NavLink, React is able to know which page is active, and by knowing which page is active, we can add some styles to the links to highlight which page is active. So we're going to call our NavLinks. So give this a class name, and I'm going to call this class name navbar style. Now, and for the nav link to have a different, sorry, that should be a small a. So when React knows what page is active, it automatically puts in an active class name. So we're going to set up some CSS separately then for the active class name. So we're going to set the active class name now I'm going to call, just going to call this navbar active, and we want to set where the link will take us then. So we say exact to and we're going to set that to the home page, and we're going to be putting in a function in here also. So I'm going to say on click, I'm going to set that equal to, going to create a function in a few minutes, and we're going to call it hide mobile menu. Okay, just going to toggle the word wrap. Okay, then inside our NavLink we want the text of home. So that's our first link in our navbar created. Okay, so I'm using the extension Prettier that formats it on save for me. So I'm going to create another link for an about page. So I'm just going to copy the LI section. I'm going to just paste it in under it. So this is going to be the exact same, except we're going to call this the about. ABOUT. And we're going to set to go to the about page. Okay, we'll save that then. Okay, so we want to have another section, the nav bars when they're hidden, then we just want to return the button for the responsive mobile view, the burger menu and the X. So to do it, this is going to be hidden when in desktop mode and is going to be visible in mobile. So in here we're going to create another div. Okay, and we're going to give this a class name of mobile button. And we're going to have an on click in here, which is going to set the state for us. So on click. And this is going to be equal to we're going to set the button state, and we're going to set it to whatever the button state is not. So we put in an exclamation mark and we just say button state. So when we set the button state, if it's true, it's going to set it to false, and if it's false, it's going to set it to true. Okay, so then we're going to use some JavaScript in here now again. So we're going to say button state. So this is saying if the button state is true, we want to return some font awesome icons dependent on whether it's true or false. So we're going to say an I tag, and we're going to give it a class, and the class is going to be equal to fa bars. Okay. Okay, and then if that's not true, if the button state is not true, I'm just going to copy this and change it. The button state is not true, we want to turn the font awesome icon class called times. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we want to create this hide mobile menu, and what this is going to do is just going to, whenever we click on the link, it's going to close the menu from being open to closed. Because when we click on the burger state, we're going to have a drop down of all our links in mobile view, and we want to close that straight away. I'll show you what that looks like now when we have it set up. So we're just going to set up this function here. I'm going to say const hide mobile menu. It's going to be Okay, so we're just going to say if the window dash inner width is less than 672. That's the point that I wanted to return, or that's the point I wanted to go to responsive mode. So we're going to set the button state back to true. So setting the state back to true. If we scroll down here, when it should be button state. So when the button state is true, we want to return this icon here. Okay, so we'll save that then. Okay, so we want to use Font Awesome in our project. So we scroll up and we'll open the public folder. We'll click on our index.html. So we're just going to inside in our head tag, we're going to use the Font Awesome link. So I'm going to open up my browser. I'm going to go to cdnjs.com and type in Font Awesome. And we're going to copy this one here, to copy the link tag. We'll just paste it in here. Okay. So we just see is all this working. First we'll bring in our navbar into our app.js. So we go to app.js. You just bring in the navbar. We'll import it here first. Import navbar from components /navbar, and then we just bring in our navbar. Just let that score. Navbar NavLink is not defined. I'll just put a small a there. Okay, we'll save that in. Okay, let's go back to our app and see what it's looking like. Oh, you should not use NavLink outside the router. Okay, so we need to go back to our, we'll just fix that quickly. We need to go back to our app.js and we need to just bring in a few things here first to get this working. Okay, so just going to import, and we say curly braces, we're going to import browser router as router, and we're going to bring in switch as well. We'll be using this later, and we're going to bring in a route as well. We'll be using these later. For the time being, we're just going to use router, and we're going to bring them in from React Router DOM. Okay, so what I was saying then, we need to use the router outside of the nav links. So inside our navbar, we need to say a router. Okay, and we just move our nav links up here. Save that now. We won't mind them for a second, they're only warning us, but we'll be using these in a minute. So we'll go back to our refresh this now. I have a typo. that as an R. Now you see our home and about, and we have our font awesome link. So we'll do our styling in our nav.css. Okay, so for our nav CSS, okay, for the navbar class, we're going to say display flex. And we're going to justify the content between. I'm just going to go quickly through this because this is based on React. You should know what display flex and all these are doing at the minute. So we're going to, in the navbar, we're going to justify the contents and we're going to space them between each other evenly. We're going to set a background color. We're going to set the background color to 808080, and we want to align the item center to center them horizontally, and we're going to set the font color to white, and we're going to give it a width of 100%. And we're going to give it a height of 60 pixels. I'm going to give it a font weight of bold. And we're going to set the font family to Arial, Helvetica and Sans Serif. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a bit smaller. Open that beside us. Okay. Okay, so that's our nav bar. Okay, so our nav bar and just the logo part. You can input your own logos here. I just left a space for it. I didn't put anything in it myself yet. So just going to, that's padding of 20 pixels to the left to bring it in a small bit. Okay, then our nav bar, the buttons. I'm going to give them a padding right of 20 pixels to separate them out a bit. And then the unordered list inside in the nav bar. So we say nav bar buttons UL. I'm going to set a margin of 0 on them. Okay. Just copy this part again. So for the list items inside and that, then we're going to do display. We're going to set the display to inline block and a margin of 5 pixels. So we want to remove the text decoration from the nav style, the nav bar. So we're going to say navbar underscore style and the links. And we want to set the text decoration to none. Now you can see the underline is after removing from each link. Okay, so now for the navbar style then. That navbar we want to say a color of white. I'm going to set the text decoration also to nothing, and we're going to set a color of white. I'm going to set a padding of 8 pixels. Okay, so just after noticing something's not right here. Going to our navbar.js. Well, there should be an S here. Save that. Now we have display inline block. Okay, we'll finish off the rest of our app CSS then. Or our navbar CSS, sorry. So on the navbar, on the style, navbar style, on the hover effect, on the color of yellow, on the navbar active, now this is where React will be adding the navbar active class. So you can see in our navbar.js, when whichever page is active, is going to set it to navbar active. So we're going to our navbar CSS. In our navbar active, we're going to say a color of yellow. I'm going to give it a background color. It's going to be RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha. It's going to be 244, comma 244, comma 244, comma 01301. I'm going to give it a border radius of 10 pixels. So then the mobile button, I want to set the font size to 2 rem. I'm going to give the margin right. I want to set the margin right to 10 pixels. And we want to set display none originally. Okay, so our media queries then. This is for our responsive. So we're going to say the media query for the screen now for the max width 671 pixels. I think that's what we set it to earlier. So that's a max width of 600, less than max width of 671. We want to apply these stylings to them. So for the navbar buttons, I want to set a position of absolute. We're going to have it coming from the top 60 pixels because our navbar is 60 pixels. And it's going to be left 0. Going to give it a z index of 10 to bring it up over anything that might be in the body. So a z index of 10. A width of 100%. I want to set the text align to center. Have the text in the center and the background color RGBA 128.128. And we're going to have padding padding 0. I'm going to set a transition and we're going to set it on the left, and we're going to give it 0.3 seconds, and we'll say easy in. Okay, you'll see why we're doing that now in a second. Okay, so then that the navbar active. So we want to display inline block. Want to give it a width of 90%, and the navbar style section. I'm going to do a display block here also. Sorry, that's going to be inline block. And I'm going to say a width of 80%. And then on the navbar buttons hide, if there's the class hide is added to it. So with the navbar buttons, it has a class of hide. We want to set the left. We want to position it to the left of -100%. And then our navbar buttons, all the LIs in there, we want to say display block. And then the mobile button, to set display inline block. Okay, so now if we press on the button here, our menu comes in from the side, and it'll hide when we press on the button again. We'll make the screen bigger. Now you see we're back to our normal desktop application. So make the screen smaller. Our nav bar goes to responsive. Okay, so just tidy it up and finish off a few things here now. So if we didn't have just comment out these on clicks for a minute to hide the mobile. So comment that and uncomment that. We'll save that. So if we didn't have them, we click on the button, the nav bar stays open. And we don't want that, that's not good. So just uncomment these again. And save that. So now when we click on the nav bar to come in from the side, we go to change the screen or the page, and they disappear. Okay. So we'll just put something in our pages now to show everything working. So in the home page, RFCE. Okay. Just going to give this a class name. I'll set that equal to home and pages. Okay, and in the about one, about page, we'll give this a class, set a few classes here. Going to say equal to about, and we'll give it the same class as pages again. Okay, save that. In our app.css, we'll add in a bit of styling for these two components. Okay, so in here, we'll set the pages class first. I want to give this a height of 100, view height. Give it a width of 100, view width. We'll set the background to background repeat, no repeat, object fit contain. And we'll set the background size. We'll set that equal to 100% and 100%. And for the home and the about class, I have two images copied from onsplash.com. So just toggle the view there, toggle wrap. So I just have a background image and a URL, and they're the two URL images I'm using. You can, if you want to put in your own images, just go to Unsplash, the website Unsplash. They're all royalty free photographs in there. Just choose one. We'll just give you a look at it here. If I make that bigger, if I go to Unsplash, you get all these photos royalty free. Just type in whatever search term you want and find whatever picture suits yourself. Okay, so to have the about and the home, and then to hide the scroll bars, if you don't want to roll scroll bars but you want to be able to scroll as well, just WebKit /scroll bar, display none. Okay, now we need to bring them into our app.js. Okay, so we're using our router already, and we need to use our switch and our route now. We'll just bring in the. So we need to bring in our pages first. So import home from /component or /pages /home, and we'll import our about page, and that's going to be from pages again. And this time we're bringing in about. Okay. So we're bringing in the navbar first. Okay, so by doing the navbar on top, it's going to be on every page. Okay, so we're going to use our switch now. This is let us switch between pages. So when React renders, it sees the navbar on top, so it's going to include a navbar on every page. So we're going to use our pages now. So we use the root, and we're going to use exact path on the home one. We don't use exact path on the home page, everything will render on all the other pages because it's looking for the slash, and all the other pages will have this slash in the URL address. And we're going to use the component, and we're going to use the home component. Okay, I'll just close that off now. I'll just copy that down. We'll change this to about, and we want to use the about component. Okay, page, sorry. So we just save that now. And now you see we're getting our pictures on the home page. That's our home page. And then our about page. What's wrong? Another typo. Exact. Press save. Go to about. You can see that about is highlighted now. Press home. So home is highlighted. Make the screen bigger, and we're back to our normal navbar. And each page we go to, we have an active state. Okay. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button. It would mean a lot to me. I appreciate your support. Thanks very much. We'll see you all in the next video.